Welcome to PeopleTools Tech Tips. I'm Randall Groncki. Today we're going to create materialized views in PeopleTools. This is where the admins and the DBAs are groaning. Materialized views is a subject that most would rather skip because frankly it ends up being more headaches for them. So what is a materialized view? A materialized view is a SQL view that is pre-resolved by the database and stored for later use. The view has a physical existence in the database just like a table. We can use materialized views to improve our poor performance of complex SQL views. That complex view is pre-rendered once and then managed by the database. SQL queries using that view retrieve data from the pre-rendered table instead of re-executing the slow, complex SQL. This saves time and system resources. Here's an example from one of my clients. A query-based report used a view containing several outer joins and complex expressions of multi-level case statements. The user demanded the report have the flexibility of PS query, but hated the performance. We converted that ugly SQL view into a materialized view and improved the performance significantly. But there is a catch with materialized views. Materialized views need refreshed as the data changes or the data in the view becomes stale. Options range from scheduling total refreshes to real-time row-based updates based upon changes to the source data. You have to decide which is best for your application. The more immediate the refresh, the more complexity and maintenance required to support that materialized view, and the more the admins and DBAs are going to push back. In the example I mentioned, we worked with the client and found that a nightly refresh of that view was just fine. A new process was added to our nightly batch, and the client now has better performance out of that query. Let's create a basic materialized view in PeopleTools. We'll create a materialized view of the job table containing only the current rows. The effective date and effective sequence subqueries will be pre-resolved and not needed in any query that uses this view. Start with the job record. Save it as a new record, X under job under cur under MTV. Save and say no to saving a copy of the people code. Click on the record type tab and choose SQL view. Open the SQL definition for our view and write the SQL. The SQL here selects all the fields of the job record and returns only the current rows using the effective check meta SQL shortcut and an effective sequence subquery. Save the record definition. Use the key view and clean up by removing all the alternate keys from the record definition. Save again and then build the view. After a successful build, test the view using a SQL tool. Okay, the view works great. Now let's convert it to a materialized view. Click on the Record tab again and check the Materialized View checkbox under the SQL Editor button. The Materialized View Options panel displays on the right. Our refresh method is complete. A refresh will create the entire view. The Fast option refreshes only the modified rows. Our refresh mode is on demand. We refresh the view when we choose. The On Commit option refreshes rows when the source data changes. Be careful, there be monsters there. Our build option is immediate. When the app designer builds the materialized view, it will also refresh it with the data. The deferred option builds the view but does not populate it. The view will be initially populated at its first refresh. This can save you time if the view takes a long time to build and you don't want to lock up your app designer. Let's save those changes and build our materialized view. Take a look at the generated DDL. We can see the app designer is building a materialized view, not just a regular SQL view. It's also updating the PSPT mat view def and PeopleTools materialized view table, updating that the view is a materialized view and that it's been refreshed. Let's test out that view again in SQL Developer. We see the materialized view is returning the proper data. Now that the materialized view is built, we need to set up the data refresh. Remember, a materialized view is only as good as the last time the data was refreshed. Use the Maintain Materialized Views page to control our view's refresh. This is a run control page, so let's create a new run control value. Use our new materialized view at the bottom of the list, but the run button is disabled. Click the row selector for our materialized view and the row start stop button and refreshed interval seconds control enable. This is for turning our control to the view's full refresh over to the database given a fixed interval of seconds. We're going to control the refresh through the process scheduler, so we'll ignore these controls. Save the component and we see the Run button at the top of the page Enable. Run the process, choose a recurrence to control the refresh interval, and submit. We see here that the Materialized View Refresh App Engine will refresh our view every morning at 1 a.m. Click OK to submit the job. Let's look at our queue. Our initial job has completed and our Materialized View is refreshed. The next process is scheduled for the next morning. The grid on the Run Control page also shows the last time our view was refreshed and how fresh the view is. Just a note about PeopleBooks documentation on Materialized Views. The developer documentation is pretty good with helpful charts to guide choosing a refresh strategy. However, the PeopleBooks content on managing material views is just plain bad. It points out pages and restates column labels. Nothing really on what controls are doing, how it's doing it, or any kind of information for the admins. No wonder they're grumpy. Anyway, maybe a Materialized View can help you with a performance issue in your PeopleSoft system. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing to our channel, and we'll see you next time here on PeopleTools Tech Tips.